and a privilege to be here with you, and thanks for having me today. I thought I would start, and a great introduction on UBX, but I thought I would start and augment that a little bit and tell you a little bit about what we're doing in response to the shifting face of banking in particular, but really the changes and the transformation that's occurring, not just here in the Philippines, but across the globe. So UBX is the venture studio and the corporate venture capital arm of Unionbank of the Philippines. Unionbank of the Philippines is one of the top universal banks in the Philippines. They have been on a digital transformation journey for some time. And UBX is really a response to the question, what's next? And so what we've done is we've spun UBX out. We are incubating and bringing FinTech ventures to market, but we're also investing in other FinTech ventures through our venture capital fund. So in that way, UBX is not just another FinTech. Our hypothesis and our response to the changing face of banking and financial services and trends, again, not just in the Philippines, but around the world, is a hypothesis where we believe that the future of financial services is invisible. So even though a lot of banks, and we feel that Unionbank is definitely leading in this category, have become digital. Unionbank, for example, you no longer have to go to a physical branch to do banking at all. You can download the app, both as an individual, even as a business, bank digitally, immediately. But we feel that in the future, that banking experience will become more and more invisible. It will be, in fact, be embedded into the activities and experiences that actually matter to individuals and to businesses. And these days, more and more, the experiences and the activities that really matter to individuals and businesses are being facilitated on digital platforms. And so at UBX, we are building these digital platforms where individuals and businesses, typically in ecosystems or communities that are digitally or financially underserved. So we're building platforms for those communities. But at the same time, we are aggregating and virtualizing financial services across multiple providers so that we can embed them into the platforms of others. And that's another important reason why we spun UBX out. While we share the same brand affinity and the same culture and heritage as Unionbank, we are open. UBX by design is open. And in fact, and I'll talk about some of our platforms, we have multiple banks and multiple lenders that are using the platforms that we have developed. And then lastly, with digital, you are naturally well poised to work beyond borders. And in fact, at UBX, we operate not just in the Philippines, we're incorporated in Singapore. We have staff in Singapore. And we've made a lot of, I talked about our corporate venture capital fund. We make most of our investments actually through our Singaporean entity. So we're not just investing in the Philippines, we're investing across Asia Pacific. So I thought I'd share some trends and our response to them. So this one's kind of obvious. With COVID, there has been a tremendous change in consumer behavior. And while the pandemic has been an unfortunate situation from a business perspective and from a consumer behavior perspective, for the Philippines and for Asia, we believe that this is really a golden age of e-commerce. And so some examples of the ventures that we are taking to market in our venture studio is Bucks. Bucks is an embeddable e-commerce payment and logistics platform. So that sounds fancy, but I'll make it really, really simple. If you're an SME, or even if you're a larger company, if you want to accept credit cards, allow people to use their GCash and other popular wallets to perhaps pay over the counter or through their bank, you need to establish relationships with all of those channels. What we've done with Bucks is we aggregate all of those diverse payment channels into a single, simple, easy to use platform. And it can be as easy to use as someone who is literally putting their goods on Instagram and messaging through Facebook Messenger and Viber. And so through Bucks, you can create a payment link, which will allow them to pay through all of those channels. And then, of course, it can be as sophisticated as using Bucks programmatically. We have an API, and so larger platforms will embed Bucks into their businesses by using the API. We have the largest number of payment platforms in the Philippines, and we represent actually the largest over-the-counter network of over-the-counter channels in the country. We've also created a e-commerce platform called Centro. And the reason we did this is after we created Bucks, we realized that there are people who are just starting out. And by the way, some of the people just starting out because of COVID were actually pretty decent sized outfits. But they start out with really simple, putting their menu on Viber, and I alluded to, the ghost kitchens and the small businesses that are on Facebook and Instagram. And then there are businesses that have they have the means or they have the sophistication and they're using things like Shopify, WooCommerce, other e-commerce platforms. They're multi-channel, they're on Lazada, Shopee, etc. But there's a big gap in the middle. And so what we did is we created Centro as a response to that. You can go to centro.ph. You can literally have an e-commerce store and site up in under 10 minutes. It has checkout, inventory management, order management, and of course, payments across the largest array of payment channels and delivery built in out of the box. So in 10 minutes, your stuff is up, people are ordering, you can take all payments and you can within the app, you can arrange for that to be picked up and delivered. So the logistics are built right in. The second trend, and I alluded to this right at the beginning, is the fact that more than ever, the experiences and activities that really matter are being driven by digital platforms. And whether it's e-commerce or not, we're really living in a platform economy. And so one of the platforms that we've built specifically to be embedded into the platforms of not just ourselves, but of others is CCAP. Now, CCAP is kind of short for Seek Capital. In this pandemic, small businesses, in true Philippine fashion and in true Philippine resiliency, have filled the gap by getting online. And these SMEs are driving the economy more than ever, but they're also acutely affected by access to credit and working capital. And we wanted to address that credit gap. And so Seek Capital is literally for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises to seek capital. Nice little play on words here. CCAP, pardon my accent, but CCAP in Tagalog obviously means entrepreneurship and hard work. And that's why we've branded this platform like that. Now you can actually go to ccap.ph as an SME, and we have a completely open and online marketplace where I think to date we have 10 lenders offering an array of products through that marketplace. And it's a digital end-to-end experience. The application, the processing, the approval is all done online, and we approve credit within the day through the marketplace. But the real magic here, or the real secret sauce, is that the platform behind the ccap.ph marketplace is embeddable into the platforms of others. So for example, CCAP is embedded into the merchant experience of Lazada. So if you're a merchant on Lazada, you can, in the Lazada environment, apply for credit through CCAP. So you authenticate as a Lazada merchant, you authorize the sharing of things like sales history on the Lazada platform. And that allows the lenders on CCAP to instantaneously approve you for credit. And now you've got access to working capital that will allow you to continue selling and serving the Philippine economy through platforms like Lazada. We do the same thing with the distributors of fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG distributors. If you are a small grocery store or a sari-sari store, the distributors that work with us have embedded CCAP into their ordering platform. By sharing your order history on the spot, we will approve you for credit to buy FMCG goods for your store. So that's an example of how we play in the platform economy. Of course, what we're doing also allows us to drive financial inclusion. And in fact, our tagline at UBX is include everyone. Everything that we do has a positive and material impact on truly inclusive prosperity. And I can't think of an example better than our eye-to-eye platform. A lot of the financial institutions and service providers in the Philippines are not large commercial or universal banks. There are over 400 rural banks, thousands of co-ops, and many more thousands of non-banking financial institutions who are effectively providing financial services to the citizens of the Philippines. These players, they want to digitally transform as well, but they are constrained. They're constrained by access to digital networks, payment networks in particular, but they're also restricted by having access to the capabilities to join these networks and to digitally transform themselves. And so we've created the Eye-to-Eye platform, which allows all of these institutions and the agents that work for them to be digitally transformed. Behind the Eye-to-Eye network is a blockchain-based distributed payments network, effectively a real-time automated clearinghouse. And what this allows these small financial service providers to do is it allows them to digitally and in real time send funds and payments between each other. But we also connect them through our gateway to the national retail payments system of the country. So for example, you can be in the most remote part of Mindanao and in real time, you can deposit money into someone's BDO bank account in Manila. And on this network, we now layer on additional value-added services like the ability to pay bills, services like agency banking, so that, for example, these institutions can digitally originate loans and fulfill loans from mobile devices in the countryside. And of course, we leverage our CCAP platform to make that possible. And I guess before I finish, Richard, just a nod to the future. We see a post-platform future of decentralized and disintermediated finance. I think our Eye-to-Eye platform is a great example of that. By using and leveraging blockchain technology, we have a distributed, real-time, automated clearinghouse and payments network upon which to build further digital transformation. And we think that's the way of the future. You know, if you take all of the participants in the Eye-to-Eye platform, it's effectively the largest branch network of any bank across the country, just because we bring them all together. And we're experimenting, and we're even taking this to market in other areas. I've put some up here on this visual, but I'll just highlight one that we're particularly proud of, and that's bonds.ph. Bonds.ph is a great example of leveraging blockchain technology to bring access to sovereign bonds. So these are bonds of the Republic of the Philippines, but to bring them directly through a mobile app to the citizens of the Philippines. And so for a very small ticket size, anyone in the Philippines can invest in government treasury bonds, can invest in the Republic. And that's made possible through blockchain. It's made possible through the Philippine Digital Asset Exchange, which is one of the companies that we've invested in through our venture capital fund. And in this case, it's also made possible by Unionbank, who has acted as the issuer behind this platform for its rollout. So that's to us, that's the future. And so we're investing in today. We are bringing platforms to market that leverage on what's required today, but we're also looking into the future. And we will continue to do that. We will bring more ventures to market, and we will continue to invest in cutting edge technology, not just through our venture studio, but through our venture capital fund.